In 1846, San Francisco was a township in which dozens of people lived. In 1848, the village was already inhabited by about 500 people in the vicinity of the city who discovered gold, and thousands of gold seekers rushed there. So in 1848, only 15 ships visited the port, but by 1849, 755 ships had arrived. 5 years later, San Francisco had 50,000 residents. Now the most interesting part of the official history begins. So they didn't have to sleep in mere tents, the settlers brought with them prefabricated houses. Although there were a lot of forests around, people were in a hurry to look for gold. Several hundred ships on which the settlers arrived served as residences, restaurants, and even prisons. Now, let's think a little. The gold rush has started and adventurers from all over the world came to the gold mines. They brought here on ships not only their families, but also prefabricated houses. Alright, maybe I missed something in my education. So, in the middle of the 19th century, there was a whole industry of prefabricated house building. Let's read more about that history as it gets even more amazing. In 1856, a French architect moved a house from his homeland, built according to his model, into San Francisco, which is a very interesting situation. After he arrived, he received an order to build several houses. Here, as we see, the architect didn't act logically, that instead of drawing a scheme for his new house, he wrote a letter to his homeland in France, probably giving recommendations on how to disassemble his French house, how to remove stucco and plaster from the walls, and where to lay tiles on the ceiling. It may also be described how to correctly number the columns of the roof sheathing, indicating in the letter the boards that can be folded with parquet on the floor, and where to store the foundation of the house. He might also have explained to people how to dismantle his house in France brick by brick, how he had to make an accurate sketching for the dismantling of the house, and how to lay out bricks of the first floor and bricks of the second floor in different boxes, then loaded all of this onto wooden sailboats and sent them to San Francisco. Do you think it was an isolated incident? But no, likewise, they moved houses in this way from Holland, England, and Scotland. In the 1850s, spacious restaurants were relocated from Belgium. These houses may have been dismantled brick by brick and everything was taken on wooden ships to San Francisco as well. They also brought selected houses made of granite that were built exclusively by the Chinese, since only the Chinese could read the instructions attached to those stone blocks that arrived from China. According to the official history, in the middle of the 19th century, they exported granite houses all over the world. I don't know which historian described the history of San Francisco, but that person obviously had a very rich fantasy. Now, let's go further. Thanks to the English-speaking blogger, the link to his channel will be in the description, I found a great panoramic photograph of San Francisco in 1878. Let's see what gold prospectors have managed to build in 30 years. Let's have a look at this amazing photo, which was taken in very good quality. Note that there are a lot of wooden houses, while stone houses are mostly huge. Here in the other direction, they leveled the platform under the house. What's the depth of this land? Now also, wooden sheds. As shown in Alcatraz, there were wooden ships in the harbour on which stone houses were brought. A good photograph resolution. Here is an interesting church. Look at the city that is only 30 years old, and this is where the church is based. Interestingly, another church. It also looks very old. There were many stone buildings near the city centre. This church is the most admired to view. It looks like a Catholic church, but for some reason the end of the towers are onion-shaped. Such a strange design, the same onion-shaped as in Russian churches, but this time only in that Catholic church. I'm not a supporter of the idea of atmospheric electricity, but the photograph makes you think about that. Look at how these balls are designed. all of this in general shows that it's not just balls, but a kind of technical device. What a very mysterious church. Ahead is another old church. It appears to be around 20 years old. There are a lot of stone houses in this area, which were also brought from Europe because there was no time to build. They all dug for gold and thus brought homes from Europe on wooden ships, as the saying goes. This is another church too. They don't look alike. The photography quality is very good. It shows that the city is densely built up, and all of this was done in 30 years. Here, in this part of town, there are a lot of stone houses. I especially liked this building. Look at the literacy, but it seems that the settlers who came seeking gold built such large buildings. I will leave the link in the description. Everyone can see it. Download this photograph and walk around the city carefully. The photo is of excellent quality. Look carefully at the old buildings, as they say the city was built recently. I'll show you a little piece from the newsreel. The link to the video will be in the description. Here on this video, you can see how the city was depicted in the aftermath of the earthquake. The most interesting thing about this video is that in the middle of the ruin sits practically a Russian family, where women in headscarves are drinking tea. What are those Russians doing in the ruins of San Francisco? I don't understand. Also, look at this photo. This is a triumphal arch, where there is a creature on top of it. It's very similar to a dragon or griffin, the symbol of Tartaria. These are several photos. I'm pretty sure that this is a dragon, but the Americans say that this is a symbol of the US military, that it's just a bird.